Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions exclusive live coverage of the second half of Atlantic Coast Conference football is brought to you by the Jefferson Pilot Companies, helping to put a brighter face on the future. Delta, the airline of ACC country. Delta gets you there. Coors Light, the silver bullet. There's no slowing down with the silver bullet. Poland, America's chainsaw. First Wachovia, serving the financial needs of individuals and businesses in the Southeast and the nation. Nissan and your local Nissan dealer, offering low financing on new Nissan trucks.
At the conclusion of today's game, we'll be selecting a Poland most valuable player from each team. In addition to recognizing our two MVPs, Poland will donate a $500 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of both Clemson and Georgia Tech as part of the Poland Most Valuable Player Awards Scholarship Program. Gary Sparber with Roman Gabriel. We're at halftime at Grant Field in Atlanta. 17-3 is the score. And the Tigers on top by 14. Terrence Rulac set up the first Clemson touchdown with a long kickoff return of 81 yards, and the Tigers got to the goal line.
Well, we found out right away what the plans were for Clemson's offense as we see coming in motion here, 49. Tracy Johnson, fullback over the top behind Jeff Bach and John Phillips, and that's really what Clemson has done all day. All right, let's watch Tracy Johnson again now over the right side of that defensive line. And we again see what they've done all day against the Tech defense. Go to the right side. Those boys are having a fine football game.
And there you see it, the two touchdowns by Tracy Johnson. Georgia Tech scored a touchdown on a fake field goal, but it was called back by an ineligible receiver downfield penalty. Then David Bell was asked to kick from 27 yards, and he converted Clemson before halftime, got a 24-yard field goal, and that's how we got to where we are, 17-3, as you look at Georgia Tech coming back on the field. And Roman, our halftime stats.
On first downs, Georgia Tech, 7. They did come back in the second quarter, even though they haven't scored but 3 points. Clemson got 11 rushing yards. Look at this, Gary. 137 yards by Clemson. Tech only 46 passing, 5 out of 8 for Georgia Tech, 5 out of 8 for Clemson. Tech had 1 interception. Yards passing, 49-47, not a whole lot of difference. Total offense, 95 yards for Georgia Tech. Clemson, 184.
You mentioned that yards passing, not much difference, but I think for Tech to win the football game, you'd agree, they're going to have to really add some yards passing, and quite a few of them to that, because they just simply are having a hard time running the football against the Tigers consistently.
That's where Clemson has had their problems, is with the pass, giving up 226 yards a game, but Tech has not been doing very well. They're only averaging 113 yards a game, but they're going to have to do that to loosen up that big front line of the Clemson Tigers.
The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets hoping for better things as we get set to start the second half. They really got jumped on right from the outset as you look at Danny Ford. Rulac comes back 80 yards, and right from there, Clemson just pounded at him play after play. And it took maybe until now, until Georgia Tech has had a chance to regroup and say, wait a minute, we can still play the kind of game we intended to play coming in.
One thing that Bill Curry is very good at is taking a team in halftime, making a few adjustments if they're necessary, and having his team come back out on the field in the second half and play inspired football. So I'm looking forward to seeing Tech play inspired, good football.
You know, we talked quite a bit about the two fullbacks and their blocking and their scoring the touchdowns, but we really have to talk about John Phillips leading the way on so many of the runs for Clemson. Before John Phillips gained a starting assignment at right guard for Clemson, the 10 games before that, Clemson rushed for 131 yards. With John Phillips, 266 yards in the last 10 games, so he has made a difference.
And he's that one junior up front. The rest of those fellows are sophomores, and you got one freshman counting the tight end. So Phillips, you might say, is the leader of the Clemson offensive line.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that. He certainly is. Rusty Sile getting set to kick off for Clemson. And for Georgia Tech, there you look at Sile, the kicker out of Savannah, Georgia.
Very important in this series of downs. Georgia Tech now receives the kickoff. I know they would really like to return one like Clemson did opening of the game, but they need to establish something here, Gary.
Gary Lee and Corey Collier, you saw the deep backs for Georgia Tech. 17-3, the Tigers lead it, trying to sweep the state of Georgia after beating the Bulldogs last week. Gary Lee takes it at the 4, retreats a step, and starts out. And hit hard at the 18-yard line. Richard Smith on the special teams with the tackle for Clemson.
We found out another thing. Not only did Clemson work on recovering fumbles and holding on to the football, they also worked on the special teams.
Tigers are not the flashiest team in the world, but when they get it going, they are a very, very fundamentally sound football team. There's Rick Strom.
Well, he's that junior redshirt guy, 6'2", 206, and really has not had a chance to establish much offense because Georgia Tech hasn't had the ball that much.
A microchip backfield for Georgia Tech. They are all small ones. In motion there, that is Richard Hills, reserve wide receiver. This is Malcolm King getting up to the 22-yard line. About a 3-yard gain on first down for Georgia Tech before Otis Moore brought him down.
So often you forget about your offensive line and the running game because you haven't had success. But what Curry's doing, he's saying if we're going to win this game, even if we're going to throw, you still got to run so we can have some protection along with the running game.
They'll give King forward progress to the 23, so it will be 2nd down and 6. Jerry Mays is the tailback. That was Massey, the tight end, switching sides of the formation. Strom fakes the sprint draw and throws down low. Nate Kelsey unable to make the catch, and James Earl on the coverage.
Scott Ensor came from the linebacking spot to apply pressure as he came on a dog. Or no, that was number 94, I believe.
84, Dwayne Meadows. I only
84.
mention that because I used to live in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where Dwayne played some superb high school football.
And he's not a linebacker, he's a defensive end. He was just doing what he was supposed to do.
3rd down and 6. Tech is 1 for 5 on 3rd down conversions. That's Mays in motion. Strom has good protection. Now breaks down, and he fires it behind the intended receiver, Massey, and there might have been a deflection there, I'm not sure. But either way, it is not complete, and Georgia Tech will have to give up the football.
Massey looked as though he was open, which he was, but watch Raymond Chavis come in here and apply the pressure on Rick Strom. He really doesn't quite have... Whoa! That's got to hurt when he wakes up tomorrow morning.
So it will be a punting situation for Sean McDivitt, the former baseball player for Georgia Tech. He lets it go. A very poor kick, very short. Donnell Wolford will let it fall, and it takes a lateral bounce out of bounds, and Clemson will have excellent field position at the 43-yard line. It's going to become a case pretty soon where to become an ACC punter, you got to go to baseball school. Bill Spires for Clemson, a former shortstop. Sean McDivitt was cut from the baseball team here at Tech, but he did not get a lot of leg into that one.
Well, we watched Clemson warm up with their punter before the game started, and the coach was sending him ground balls.
That's right.
Just in case you do get a bad snap, and that's
he knows how to field them.
Yeah, shortstop shouldn't field them.
33-yard punt for McDivitt, really not as poor as I thought, but not a great kick. Slot formation to the far side, and Rodney Williams had no more made the fake than he was run over by Travis Moody, a freshman nose guard out of Memphis.
I think Curry sort of put the prod to... They sort of put the prod to Travis Moody here, 75. He had been run at all first half, and now he comes in and stops this play before it develops. Good play by the freshman, Travis Moody.
They lose 2, so it's 2nd down and 12. That is Rodney Williams, sophomore quarterback out of suburban Columbia, South Carolina. Ray Williams in motion. Rodney gives it to Terrence Franklin. He got back to the original line of scrimmage, maybe before the linebacker Rod Stevens brought him down and had some help.
You can bring 3 wideouts into a ball game, and you can only fool them for so long. Tech or Clemson had run that draw twice with success, tried it again, but did not fool Georgia Tech at all.
I've got to wonder about Kenny Flowers as we look at the temperature up around 90 degrees. Kenny Flowers has not played in today's game, the outstanding Clemson tailback. He is on the sideline. 3rd down and 12. After the fake, Williams fires it downfield and overshoots his man. He was trying to get it to Keith Jennings, and it'll be 4th down. Georgia Tech fans have something to cheer about, the work of their defense. We're very early in the 3rd period, and the Yellow Jackets down by 2 touchdowns will get the ball.
Georgia Tech came to play this half. The defense finally shuts Clemson down early in the half. Now it's up to the offense. They've got to make some first downs and get down and put at least 3 points on the board so that defense can take a rest.
Bill Spires will kick. 38.5 for the former shortstop. Actually, I guess he'll still be a shortstop for the Clemson baseball team this year. Cedric Stallworth is the deep back, single safety, waiting for the kick. Pretty good kick that time. Fair catch called for. Stallworth lets it go, hoping it will make the end zone, and it will not. outstanding play by James Coley, a reserve tight end for Clemson, who batted the ball back at the 2-yard line. It bounced to the 10, and that is where Georgia Tech will have the football. 12:36 to go, third period. Clemson 17, Georgia Tech 3. More ACC football after this.
There's Cedric Stallworth, the sophomore cornerback who's receiving the punt. Looked like he was trying to make a fair catch. Watch this great effort here. Coley makes a fine play.
Back to live action. Georgia Tech starts at its 10. That was Toby Pearson in motion. And about 2 or 3 yards for the tailback up to the 13-yard line.
Number 29.
And that was Malcolm King. Check it, the fullback on first down for Georgia Tech.
Give you an idea, Gary, where Tech has started and how well Clemson's playing defense. Georgia Tech has started on the 30, and here, of course, they're coming out of their own end zone almost as Malcolm King hits up over center, hardly any yardage. But Tech has started at the 30 to 20 to 18 to 4 to 30 to 18 to the 10.
Not great field position, to say the least. Second down and 7. On the option play, Strom turns it upfield and is written down
With the ball, number 6,
by J.C. Harper, who is the son of the defensive coordinator at Clemson, Tom Harper.
Number 77, J.C. Harper.
Let's look at what's going on elsewhere. Ohio State, no sure thing against anybody early this season. They lead Utah 14-0. They lose that one. Earl Bruce doesn't go back to Columbus, I don't think.
He might be out, huh?
I tell you what, they don't tolerate a lot of losing in that place.
Look out, Michael Dean Perry, the refrigerator's younger brother. He's in the ball game.
And he jumped right there, almost jumped offside. Third down and 4. Strom in trouble. That's Perry chasing him, and he completes it to Mannion. Tim Mannion, the tight end, up to the 30-yard line. Good presence of mind for the quarterback, Strom, to take the pressure, get it to Mannion, and A.J. Johnson made the stop.
This is a nice matchup here as we take a look at the left tackle for Tech trying to block Michael Dean Perry. Perry comes over top, but the quarterback, Strom, makes a nice play to Tim Mannion. Just a little check down by the back over the middle.
That is the first catch of the season for Tim Mannion, who is out of Massillon, Ohio, and they take their high school football as seriously as anyone in the country in that place. First down and 10 at the 30. Georgia Tech trailing 17-3, 10:58 to go, third period. Strom after play action. Michael Dean Perry got him by the ankles. Strom scrambles out and overshoots his man. Bug Isom, the intended receiver, Strom, did a little Fred Astaire in the backfield to get away from Michael Dean Perry, but couldn't quite complete the play.
I know why they've got Michael Dean Perry in there, expecting the pass. Twice now he could have had a sack. He just blows back, just blows by the left tackle. But Strom, a big, strong quarterback, he overshoots here. He had a chance. Bug Isom had an opportunity, but couldn't get it to him.
Strom is 6 of 12 for 63 yards, second down and 10. From the 30-yard line. Clemson showing blitz, and they do come, and Strom gave it up the middle, and the runner, Nate Kelsey, went right into the tooth of the blitz, or the teeth, whatever.
It worked, though. And Clemson's going to bring all 4 of the linebackers. There's just no way. Kelsey has no chance because watch this now. You're talking about some hitting, some helmet warping. Terrence Mack, number 12, jumps in there, finally makes the tackle, but the linebackers are playing ball, and so is the defensive front.
Well, Norman Haynes took it from John Davis and then threw Davis aside on that replay. Here's Strom on third down and 13. Straight back to throw. Good protection this time. Shoots it out to Kelsey at the 23, and Kelsey could not make a move against Terrence Mack, and that was a nice, clean, open field tackle for Terrence.
It was, because in that case, you would think with the field that he had to work with, Kelsey, he could have eluded one guy and still got a shot for the first down. Nobody was open downfield, though. Strom made a good decision. Go out to the outlet to back.
So Sean McDivitt comes on the field to kick it away from his 19. Donnell Wolford with good speed standing back at his 31-yard line. There you see Donnell. This one turns over for him, and Wolford has to retreat back to his 17. A nice kick. Wolford eludes one tackler, tripped up, manages to get another yard or two before number 92, Chris Caudle, finished him off. Pat James was the one who initiated that tackle. So it is 17-3. The Tigers will have the football in pretty decent field position, and we'll be coming back after these words from your local ACC stations. 17-3, Clemson up on Georgia Tech here. Elsewhere, Pittsburgh on top of West Virginia 31-10. First down and 10 for Clemson. They start from their 28-yard line. This is Terrence Flagler. Has a hole, but a nice job is done there by John Porter, linebacker, to corral Flagler and stop it from being a big gainer. Florida State hanging in with Michigan. Boy, that's a head knocker right there. Michigan, a lot of people think a national championship caliber team, in Florida State, pretty good ball club themselves. What a win that was, or actually a tie. Some people think it's a win for Carolina last week with Florida State 10-10. Big boost for the Carolina program, at least I think. I agree with you, Gary. Second down and 7. That was Jerome Williams, the tight end, who switched positions. The fullback, Tracy Johnson. Boy, he has run well today, and he's right up close to the first down marker before John Porter brought him down. I think he'll come up about a half-yard shy.
Johnson was
the one thing that Clemson has done so well, and they continue to do it. Let's take a look now as the offensive lineman for Clemson. They challenged the freshman and sophomore linebackers for Georgia Tech. What a play. That's number 35, Mark White, a sophomore, getting pushed back, or John Porter, I'm sorry, a freshman. He finally makes the tackle, but Clemson's a little too strong in the middle.
That is just overpowering blocking right there.
It is. They're just getting off the ball and moving them back.
They did get the first down. So Clemson will start this series from their 38. We talked about Georgia Tech having had problems this season stopping the rush inside the tackles, and Clemson obviously saw that on the films. Not that they wouldn't do it anyway, even if they didn't see it on the films, but they have controlled the line of scrimmage. Here they come. First and 10. Rodney Williams has gone all the way at quarterback today. The pitch to Flagler. Flagler is tripped up, and really he was tripped up by his own man. Number 71, Ty Granger, the tackle, was trying to block on the play, and Rodney Williams simply fell over him.
Let's take a look now. Look at the linebacker. Look at the come-off there by the offensive. Gee,
61, John Phillips.
Oh, my goodness. I'm telling you, they're just blowing them off.
Bill Curry's got to be on the sideline saying, look, there's not a whole lot we can do about that.
No, there's not, except that they've got to have those guys maybe get up a little bit tighter because they're not going to pass. Linebackers need to fill the hole faster.
Or arm them, one or the other. Rodney Williams throws it to Ray Williams, just shy of the first down, gain of 8 or 9. Reginald Rutland and Ricardo Ingram combining on the coverage for Georgia Tech.
That kind of pass is a safe pass. It's like a running play, a little hitch pattern, and a good catch. And we see where Ray Williams is. Ray Williams runs a hitch pattern here. They little action towards the quarterback there. There's a nice catch. Ray's hip must not be bothering him. He looks pretty good out there.
Reconstructive hip surgery right before the season. He got his medical clearance a day before we did that Clemson-Virginia Tech game earlier, and he's still, I'm sure, in the process of coming back from it. Third down and 2 for Clemson. They're in a short yardage formation. That's Jennings in motion. They pitch to the short side of the field, and Tracy Johnson's got the first down. Reginald Rutland brought him down, but they simply cannot stop Clemson's rushing offense right now.
No, Clemson is so quick off the football. Georgia Tech's playing a waiting game, and they're just not quite big and strong enough to hang in there for that initial push that Clemson's getting to them with. Tracy Johnson, 14 carries, 47 yards, 3.42 touchdowns. I think the 2 touchdowns and all the yards he's gained on short yardage has really been the thing.
Rulak and Jennings are the wide receivers. That's 99 Jim Riggs. You're looking at shifting positions. Again, Tracy Johnson bursts into the open at the 25 and at the 15-yard line. Reginald Rutland had help. 3 or 4 Georgia Tech tacklers combined to bring him down. Willis Crockett, the bandit defensive end, but a great run there by Tracy Johnson.
Well, let's watch the left side of that line. Look at number 75, Pat Williams. He does the job, and so does Ty Granger. And Tracy Johnson he could drive a truck through that hole.
32-yard run for Tracy Johnson. He got it to the 15-yard line, and I've got to believe Georgia Tech defensively is becoming demoralized at this point. They're simply getting run over at the line of scrimmage.
They sure are, and they've got to tighten it up. They're inside their 20 almost. Well, they are once again.
Yep. The fullback, Tracy Johnson, why not? They're going to pound away. No, Chris Lancaster came in on that play, the sophomore out of Mableton, Georgia. Tracy Johnson now rushing 15 carries for 80 yards, 5.3 yards per carry, but that time they brought in Lancaster, who is a better blocker than Tracy Johnson, but I suspect Johnson a bit better ball carrier.
In this particular game, next week you'll see Lancaster will be the guy toting the mail.
Well, they've got a bunch of them that can run the football at Tigertown, no doubt about that. Second down and 9. Terrence Flagler is the tailback behind Lancaster. Boy, they are just pounding away. Lancaster got 2 more yards. This is not what you'd call fancy Dan football. They are just hitting between the tackles.
They're coming after him. The soft spots are the bubbles of the Georgia Tech defense. They're going to bring the right guard around the center here. We call that a fold block. There's Lancaster. He tries to get inside, but for a change, Georgia Tech, the whole defensive team, boy, they have to stop them. They've all got to get to the football.
I know it's not Clemson football, but you got to believe that a play-action fake right here in a pass would be tough for Georgia Tech to defend.
It would.
3rd down, 7 yards to go. That's Flagler in motion. He could be a receiver on this play. Johnson's looking for him, or Williams is going to Flagler in the end zone, overshot him and incomplete. The coverage was from Willis Crockett, the Bandit defensive end, going out on coverage on that play. But when they send Flagler in motion like that, they've done it a number of times. Williams rolling to that side of the field and looking for him.
They give Flagler a running start, and Crockett, the Bandit, sometimes he'll come, sometimes he doesn't. Really, he had him there, but it almost as though it's very close to being pass interference, but not quite.
Inside the 20 in this game, Clemson has run 19 plays. 17 of them have been runs. On 4th down here, David Treadwell will try a 30-yard field goal with Todd Schoenart to hold. 5:09 remains in the 3rd period. The kick by Treadwell is up, and the kick is good. And Clemson has extended its lead to 20-3. And credit the good coverage by the Bandit defensive end, Willis Crockett, for holding it to 3 instead of 7. So we'll be back after these words. It's 20-3, Clemson on top of Georgia Tech. 5:05 remaining in the 3rd period. Clemson on top of Georgia Tech. A very hot day here at Grant Field. A couple of years ago, Roman, as we saw in the One for the Books feature at halftime, Georgia Tech had a big lead over Clemson here, and Clemson was able to come back. What does Georgia Tech have to do to come back here?
Number one, Georgia Tech has got to control the football with 5 minutes or so left in the 3rd quarter. College football, you can run 50 plays in that span of time, and Georgia Tech is not out of this game. All they need is 2 scores and to go for 2 if they like, and then a field goal, they're back in it. So I look for Georgia Tech to hang tough.
Rusty Sile to kick it off to Gary Lee and Corey Collier. Collier to the left side of your screen. Gary Lee at the 4. In trouble. In real trouble. Down he goes. 17-yard line. Number 39, Perry Williams. They have got enough Williams on this Clemson team. They've got Rodney, they've got Ray, they've got Perry, and they've got 3 others who shall go unnamed at this time.
Georgia Tech again, once coming out of their own backyard. Again, they're inside the 20. That's tough on your offense, but now they have just got to throw caution to the wind and say, look, we're in the 50. So what? We're inside the 20. We better score.
17-yard line is where they start from. And they really have not had good field position most of this day. And I mean from the opening kickoff when Clemson started up on the 19-yard line of Georgia Tech. It's been that kind of day. Rick Strom has got all the way at quarterback. He faked the pass to Collier, then shot it out to Nate Kelsey, but threw it low, and Kelsey couldn't hang on.
That pass was intended for number 1, Nate Kelsey.
Well, they set up for a double screen that time. They had hit the tailback to the left side. Watch what they do here. The tailback comes out to his left. He pump fakes and then trying to set up the screen to Kelsey, who's sitting on the right side here, getting the lineman out front, but the ball wasn't quite there. Or it's difficult to tell from that vantage point. Good shot, though.
2nd down and 10 after the incompletion. You see Bill Curry looking on. Strom to throw again. Protection is good. And wide open is Robert Massey, the tight end. Gene Beasley rides him down in Clemson territory at the 46, and this is what Clemson has been vulnerable to this season.
Yeah, so Clemson plays a lot of zone. That time somebody was caught out of their zone coverage. Massey coming from the left side. They have no one in the middle to defense this play. Playing zone defense. He just beats the linebacker. Good thing there was a Clemson player that was a little quicker. That was Gene Beasley.
36-yard gain for Georgia Tech. They now operate from the 47-yard line of Clemson. We're told that Terrence Rulak has gone to the Clemson locker room. We'll have to wait for a further report on that one. The outstanding wide receiver for the Tigers. Right now, the Tiger defense in business. And Strom shoots it out quickly to Steve Davenport. Davenport, a reserve receiver. He's a possession-type receiver out of Decatur, Georgia. That's his first catch of the season. Delton Hall and A.J. Johnson combining on the stop.
Well, this is a little hitch pattern out to the left side. Earlier in the game, Strom had one knocked down because he looked at the receiver. This time, he looked downfield, then came outside and was able to get the ball by Mr. Mack.
2nd down and 3. Georgia Tech on the march. They trail 20-3. Under 4 minutes now to go in the 3rd period. Strom in a short pass formation, the pump fake, and the long pass, but good coverage by Donnell Wolford and Gene Beasley. They really had Gary Lee all wrapped up on the sideline.
They did. They were trying to fake the same play they had completed on the near sideline on the left side. Pump fake and trying to go deep, but Clemson's really not giving up anything deep. You can go underneath all day. They've got to stay with that and be a little patient.
Well, Bill Oliver, the defensive backfield coach, told me earlier this week that they have not been getting much of a pass rush, so they feel they've got to be more conservative in the defensive backfield. They just can't afford to play them uptight because the quarterback's getting a lot of time for the opposition.
And Georgia Tech's got to be patient.
3rd down and 3. Clemson showing blitz, and they come with Henry Carter, and Strom just says, let me get rid of this thing and live to throw another day, but that was 3rd down, so it'll bring up 4th down and 3. Strom may have panicked just a wee bit on that play.
All right, we're bringing all 4 linebackers now. If Strom, here's Michael Dean Perry. I think I might panic too with that guy in my face. But we almost get the ball to Tim Mannion. Maybe Strom could have held it one more second and taken the lick, but gotten the completion.
I never saw you panic. I saw you take a few hits and just stand there and throw the ball afterwards. Well, it will be 4th down and 3 when we come back. Georgia Tech, we'll see what they do. They trail at 20-3. Back after this for your local ACC stations. As we run down the 3rd quarter, Clemson leads it by 17, and they have stopped Georgia Tech. Sean McDivitt, barring a fake, will kick it away to Donnell Wolford. Wolford standing back around his 11-yard line. McDivitt, as Clemson sets up for the return, kicks a high one. Will this get into the end zone? Yes, it will. So, McDivitt tried to hang it up around the goal line, may have cut it a bit too close. It's a 40-yard punt, but really only 20 net yards on it, and a 1st down and 10 for Clemson at the 20-yard line. Steve Griffin is coming onto the field for Clemson, and obviously either Kenny Flowers is hurt or there's something disciplinary, but there's got to be a reason that Kenny Flowers has not played today.
I would say so because, well, Gil Brandt was here to watch him play a little football, but he's going to have to wait. We'll stay over and watch him.
They got Herschel and Tony and then Levette. They don't, well, they can wait a while before they take Kenny Flowers anyway. 1st down from the 20. Somebody may have moved for Clemson, or did they take too much time? Illegal procedure.
Another penalty. Another one. Georgia Tech.
Dead ball. Illegal procedure against the offense. 1st down, 1st and 15.
Georgia Tech has been very conservative on defense, and they've been trying to hang in there and punch it out with the Clemson offense. To get that ball back, they're going to have to start bringing some people, I believe, Gary. They're going to have to bring the line back.
That was Kenny Flowers you were looking at. It has been an unusual early season for him, to say the least. 1st and 15, and Chris Lancaster got about to the 17-yard line, maybe, and that's all.
One thing is for sure, Clemson's not going to change their game plan. They're going to continue to battle. That's what they've done all day long. Their offensive linemen are playing well, so they're not going to change.
On 1st down today, Clemson 22 times has run the ball 20 times, and they passed it twice. So Georgia Tech knows what's coming. They just can't stop it.
That's right.
Well, I thought he got 2. He lost 2. It'll be 2nd down and 12. And they go again to Lancaster. Maybe a trifle conservative.
They think they've got the game won because their defense is playing real well. And what Tech has done, they've now moved those inside linebackers up closer to the ball so they can take the block on them much quicker, and they're getting to the football a little bit more so than they were earlier.
If they do think they've got the game won, I don't know. 2:33 to go in the 3rd period. A lot of things are happening in football these days offensively.
Well, I agree with you.
Don't move the ball.
That's right.
3rd down and a bit more than 10 yards to go. Lancaster, the only back left in. Williams to throw. And he's got Jim Riggs up across the 30-yard line. And I think yes, he does. He's got a 1st down. That is a big first down and a very demoralizing one for Georgia Tech.
This is a tough play for Rodney Williams. He sprints to the left side. Now he comes back right. And there it is to Jim Riggs, his senior tight end. Big play, gutsy call. Really got to give it to Clemson. Gutsy call. They needed it.
Well, what do you do if you're Georgia Tech? You stop them on the run, and they beat you with the pass on 3rd and long. 1st and 10 here, 31-yard line. And they go to Lancaster again, and he gets a yard or two.
Trying the option play left side. But now Tech is reading it well. Linebacker's coming up, which he is supposed to. He forced that one. Good play.
Steve Griffin, number 44, has to be saying, look, it took me 3 years to get into the lineup, and now you won't pitch me the ball.
Yeah, give me the ball. Let me have a shot.
You're looking there at Travis Moody, the nose guard for Georgia Tech, who has been hit once or twice today. And some of the happy fans from Clemson, and there are a lot of them here in Atlanta. 2nd down, 8. Ricardo Hooper in motion. This time they give it to Griffin, and this time he goes down in the arms of John Porter, the reserve freshman linebacker out of Valdosta, Georgia.
John Porter's playing good football. Since he's come into play a little here, he's made a couple of stops in the last 4 plays.
Wake Forest has gone out in front of Army 7-0. Wake Forest is 2-0 outside the ACC, but they lost that wild game last week against North Carolina State. 3rd down and 6 from the Clemson 35. There you see the Tigers hitting on 67% of their 3rd down tries. That was Rulak in motion, so he's okay. They go to Rulak, and Rulak has the 1st down. Reginald Rutland made the tackle, but Clemson able to give the ball, and then get whatever they need on 3rd down.
Well, by bringing Rulak in motion, it gives him that head start. He just gets out here and gets a couple of steps. Nice pass. They didn't need much, but a good play. Reginald Rutland was a little bit behind him. Where was Rulak? He was in the locker room for a while.
He was.
He comes out and makes a big play.
He's all right now, and they've eaten up the remainder of the 3rd quarter. We're down to 25 seconds and the clock running in the 3rd quarter. Clemson has controlled the football game. They lead 20-3. Williams, after faking the option, Steve Griffin can't handle it. It's a little bit overthrown. Don Porter, the linebacker, was coming out, and there was a little bit of pressure from Georgia Tech as well. So it will be 2nd down and 10. Clemson at its 42 and 16 seconds remain to be played in the 3rd quarter.
Could be the situation where Clemson with 3 wideouts give you the opinion they're going to pass and go with the draw. They've done that now 3 times in the same situation. Let's see what happens.
2nd and 10. Ray Williams in motion. Straight up the middle to Steve Griffin, and Griffin got up to the 47-yard line where it would be 3rd down and 6. Jeff Mathis, the nose guard, hung in there and brought him down, and that will be the final play of the 3rd period.
Not a very spectacular play. They just bring the ball back to the tailback. A little bit like a draw, but more like a slant or a basic man-to-man blocking up front, and then try to get what you can.
Well, this is just old-fashioned power football for Clemson this afternoon. They've controlled the line of scrimmage. They lead it 20-3 with 1 quarter to go. We'll be back at Grant Field after this. There's your Nissan scoreboard. Clemson on top 20-3 as we get set to start the 4th period. And the Tigers have just controlled the line of scrimmage, and really there's been more to it, but it's been almost as simple as that.
Well, it sure has. This could be the biggest play in the game for Georgia Tech's defense. 3rd down and 5. Start the 4th quarter. You're down 17. Need a good effort here. Georgia Tech got to stop them.
Jim Riggs in motion. 3rd and 5. After the fake, open is Jennings, and he has the 1st down inside the 35-yard line of Georgia Tech. Keith Jennings, who is the younger brother of Stanford Jennings of the Cincinnati Bengals of the National Football League, and we'll see the play again.
Well, nice play action in there. The Lancaster. Jennings pops outside, gets around the corner. Ball's thrown very well. It was Don. All right, watch Don Wilson here. He's going to try to make the coverage, but look at here. Looks like we got number 47 a little late in the coverage. And that, of course, being Ricardo Ingram. It might have been a zone to that side, and that could have been his responsibility.
Clemson's erstwhile sports information director, Bob Bradley, tells us that Kenny Flowers is just still a little sore, so they're resting him. Well, when you've got Flagler and Steve Griffin, I guess you can afford to do that, and you're controlling the game.
Nothing like being in Atlanta for a little vacation.
That's right. Danny Ford talking things over with Rodney Williams. He's got a 1st and 10, obviously a timeout called here at the 34-yard line of Georgia Tech. We have 14:55 to go in the game.
There he is, Gary, number 48, Flowers. He's contemplating on what he should be doing and maybe what he would like to be doing.
Well, Kenny Flowers is a great back. He combines power and speed, but I think we can take away the term Heisman Trophy candidate simply because he's not playing early in the season, and you've got to play from start to finish if you're going to be that.
That's true, and as good as Terrence Flagler is, Kenny Flowers might have a little extra step. Clemson's 52-6-2 when leading after the 3rd quarter.
Oh, personally, talent-wise, I don't think Flagler is far behind Flowers at all. It's just that Flowers got the edge, got the start, and got all the publicity last year, but Flagler has had tremendous potential over the years at Clemson and simply was hurt, had a deep thigh bruise one year that kept him out, had Kenny Flowers that kept him out, had Stacy Driver ahead of him, and now finally getting a chance to play. And well, Steve Griffin thinks he can do it too.
If there's one difference, though, Kenny Flowers runs a 4.340, Flagler runs a 4.4.
Uh-oh. Slowpoke.
Slowpoke.
That's right. 34-yard line, 1st and 10 for Clemson. This is Griffin, and Griffin is tripped up. Nice play. Rod Stevens came up from the linebacker spot to trip him up.
Georgia Tech now doing what they need to do. The linebackers are starting to shoot the gaps, get in there, cause some havoc. A little doubt on Clemson's blocking scheme. They really had better stop them now. They need to. Cannot give up another point.
Rodney Williams is 9 of 15 for 95 yards. He has thrown to 5 different receivers, so when they have to run the ball, they've mixed it up. That was Jerome Williams, the tight end, in motion. The pitch out to Griffin really didn't have much room when he got the ball. He still got about 3 or 4 yards along the sideline before Ricardo Ingram, the free safety, knocked him out of bounds.
The option play, run about as well as you'll see it run. Rod Williams puts the ball into Lancaster's stomach. Watch Andre come up and pop him good. Get the ball out now. And, ooh.
He is the only the only remaining player from the Black Watch, the hard hitters last year, and he showed it to us there.
He sure did.
3rd down and 4. Again, Williams changes sides of the formation, the Clemson tight end. On 3rd and 4, they say we can power for the 1st down with Lancaster, and Sean Smith brought him down right around the 1st down marker. That is confidence when you're 3rd and 4 in college football these days, and you feel you can power it with your fullback. That's going back about 10 years, and it's working for them.
They're smart, too. They searched out Sean Smith, who was a freshman, but Sean Smith met the task. He came in, got by the blocker, made the stop.
Well, they did not get the 1st down, but they are within a yard of it. Clemson's going to take time out, and I've got to believe, well, with 4th down, less than a yard to go, I think they're going to go for it.
I do, too.
A field goal would still leave Georgia Tech within 3 touchdowns, which is what they need right now, and they're within a yard, and Georgia Tech hasn't held them to less than a yard, but maybe once in the ball game.
That's true. I think what Clemson will do, they'll come out, go for it. Quarterback will carry it for the 1st down, then they're going to go ahead and run some more time off the clock and maybe score a field goal or touchdown.
Did you like running quarterback sneaks?
Yeah, because they really, sometimes, especially in pro ball, they didn't expect the quarterback sneak, and it was nice to occasionally get your head into that middle linebacker and pay him back.
Now that is a tall, rangy, big quarterback talking. Not every quarterback feels that way about it.
Well, I weighed 230, 35 pounds then. I was a little bigger than I am now, and I'm glad.
It is 20-3. Georgia Tech in a real problematical situation here, trailing Clemson early in the 4th period, and Clemson deciding what they want to do. On 4th down and less than a yard to go, there you see Danny Ford, who obviously has drilled the running game very well into his Clemson Tigers. Tigers only twice in their history have come to Georgia and swept Georgia and Georgia Tech, and they're doing it in consecutive weeks. They did it in 1977. They did it in 1983. This will be the 3rd time, barring some unforeseen circumstances in the next 1354.
Clemson hasn't turned it over all day long, have they? No interceptions?
No, and Georgia Tech hasn't committed penalties, although they haven't done much else right, but they have not committed penalties. They've shorn that up. 4th down, less than a yard. They do go for it. And they come close with Tracy Johnson. Let's see.
Fumble.
He lost the football, and Georgia Tech has it. So the rambling wreck gets a break, and maybe they can get something going.
They needed that, Gary.
Rod Stevens, the man who recovered the fumble. That is the first Clemson turnover of the ball game, and Georgia Tech will hope to build some momentum from it.
We put the fickle finger of fate on them when we talked about not turning the ball over.
That's right. All right, first down and 10 for Georgia Tech. They go from their 24. They need 3 scores to get even or win, so they don't have much time to fool around since we're already in the 4th period. They start with the draw to Jerry Mays, and Jerry Mays is pulled down as he crossed the 30-yard line by Dwayne Walker, a junior out of Forest Park, Georgia, and a linebacker.
That's a play. That's a play where the left tackle and now and right guard are trying to open up a hole for the running back. They come back out of the eye. There it is. Mannion does have a hole, or Jerry Mays, I'm sorry, has a hole, but it's Dwayne Walker, the linebacker, who finally pulls him down. There he is, Jerry Mays, sophomore, 5'8", 171.
He was on his way to a sensational year last year, 566 yards when he broke his hand against Auburn. Still got ACC Rookie of the Year, but he had another 4 or 5 games to play if he didn't get hurt. After the fake, Strom runs the option. This is Mays for the first down, and across the 40 to the 42. That might be the best looking play Georgia Tech has run all day.
It is, and they got a flag. It could be piling on by Clemson. Unnecessary roughness out there on the sideline.
Might have been Tony Stevens, the nose guard for Clemson.
Look at Danny Ford. He's over there saying, look, I've been on 18 winning teams, 12 bowl teams, and you're telling me we get a penalty?
Here's the call.
Dead ball. Personal foul. Defense. First down.
So Georgia Tech gets a bonus.
Clemson has the heat hasn't affected them. They're still out after them.
Well, it's easy to feel good when you're up by 17 points. Things are a lot cooler. Penalties have hurt Clemson, but not enough for Georgia Tech. They've needed more. They're down 17 points. Strom to Malcolm King. Malcolm King hits hard into the line of the 41 before the nose guard, Tony Stevens, a junior out of Walterboro, and the second strongest Clemson Tiger in terms of weight training, makes the stop.
They have certainly given John Davis, the Outland Trophy candidate, all he has wanted today. Those 3 nose guards that have been coming in there for Clemson rotating. John Davis has had a tough day.
Roman, I would think they're going to have to put the ball up here pretty quick.
I would have to agree that time's running down. They need some scores. We've got to throw the football.
Fake on play action, and the pass by Strom is broken up and incomplete. Donnell Wolford on the coverage, and I think the pressure took something off that pass. It looked to me like his follow-through wasn't quite what it could have been. Otis Moore was pressing him, and the quarterback Strom underthrew it.
No, he never gets the complete rotation of the shoulders towards the receiver. Take a look here, right there, a little bit bothered. He didn't quite get as much on it.
He was afraid to follow through.
I think he felt the pressure. Of course, you will when you haven't played a whole lot.
So it will be 3rd down and 6 for Georgia Tech. Jerry Mays, 7 carries, 33 yards. That's 4.7 per carry. Not bad for Georgia Tech, but they still trail by a goodly margin here. After the fake, Strom finds himself with company in the backfield and underthrows it. Strom made the fake, turned around and said, hey, who are these guys? Dwayne Meadows was one of those guys, and Otis Moore was the other one, and they had no kindly intentions at all for Rick Strom.
Had no chance at all. That's a little bootleg type of a play, counter to the right side. Here comes Dwayne Meadows and Otis Moore. Otis Moore pops him pretty good. Dwayne Meadows there at the very end. He had no chance to get the ball. He had a receiver open, though, but he just didn't have the time.
Strom in the second half, 4 of 12 for 63 yards. Total, he is 9 of 20 for 112 yards.
4th down, big play, big play.
They will go for it on 4th down and 6. 3 wide receivers to one side. Now Mays will balance it off a bit by going in motion. Strom, can they hold the pressure out? Strom will roll. He in chase. He's past the line of scrimmage. He'll run and get the first down. Great composure by Rick Strom while things were falling down around him. He kept looking downfield. I was afraid for a moment he would throw after crossing the line of scrimmage, but got the first down on the run.
Clemson drops everybody back. Rushes only 3 people, have 7 protecting against the pass. Strom with his size. Henry Carter's coming over to make the stop here, or Henry Carter eventually makes the stop. And Strom with his size and strength was able to bully for the first down.
28 38-yard line. Keeps Georgia Tech in the game barely. 12-10 to go. They need 3 scores as Strom audibilizing at the line of scrimmage now. Short pass formation. Pump fake. Up top. Receiver didn't have the same follow throw. Richard Hills, a sophomore out of Lakeland, Florida, did not go along with the pump fake. He did not go deep.
Well, there's a problem where the receiver, not really knowing that Delton Hall, the cornerback, was going to be there facing him off. He should have gone around him. He would have had the chance for the touchdown. But Delton Hall was smart. He's played that position before. He just jammed him. Couldn't get by him. 2nd down and 10. They send Gary Lee and Richard Hills to the far side of the formation. Nate Kelsey is the fullback. Jerry Mays the tailback. Strom maybe changing the play again. The right tackle for Georgia Tech had to have moved out of the play because J.C. Harper just charged through there and said, you're the man who jumped, and I'm going to lick you for it. Mitch Waters was trying to get set up for pass protection just a hair too quickly. As a result, he's going to cost Georgia Tech a penalty.
There you see the call, illegal procedure against the Rambling Wreck. So it'll be a 3rd down and 15 situation for them. And we will get the official version of the call.
Illegal procedure. Offense, 2nd down.
All right, we take a look here now on the left side of this. There he is, Mitch Waters on the left side. He jumps, number 64, draws the Clemson player offside.
2nd down and 15 after the penalty. That's Jerry Mays in motion. Strom in trouble. Down he goes. J.C. Harper got a piece of the tackle, but it was not he who made the initial hit. It was number 96 for Clemson, Darrell Jenkins. No, not Darrell Jenkins. Richard McCullough, the defensive tackle out of Loris, South Carolina, a sophomore. McCullough, there was a real recruiting war for him a few years ago, and Clemson very happy they got him, and a few years later, he's beginning to make his presence known. That is the first Clemson sack we have. First Clemson sack? That's what we're told. 11:28 in the clock winding. Clemson on top, 20-3. Georgia Tech has 3rd and 19. Strom has protection this time. Threw it into a crowd, and I think incomplete. Yeah, trying to throw it to Richard Hills. A.J. Johnson was there along with a couple of other of Tigers. He would have really had to thread the needle to get that one in there.
He had the protection that time for the first time in a while, but he just wasn't able to get enough on the ball, and the receiver has to work back a little bit quicker to the football, which was a real good circumstance there, a situation to point out.
4th down and very long. Georgia Tech will basically have to punt the ball unless they want to try Gary Lee on a 54-yarder. Not Gary Lee, David Bell. David Bell on a 54-yarder. Well,
in practice, he was booting them that far, but they need a touchdown.
Excuse me, they go for it on 4th down and 19. I felt that was a little bit too long with this much time remaining, but they will go. Strom will roll. Now has time to survey the situation and throws it incomplete. And I mean to tell you, he threw into a crowd. He was trying to get the ball to number 81, Robert Nassar, tight end. Terrence Mack, though, able to get a hand on it.
They came with what we call a dash type of play. Show the pocket straight back, then come out left side.
11:10 remains to be played. Clemson 20, Georgia Tech 3. Back after this for your local ACC stations. There is John Dewberry, who has no eligibility remaining at Georgia Tech, but had a fine career for the Yellow Jackets. Clemson taking over at its 37-yard line with 11:10 to go. They lead 20-3. That's Terrence Rulak in motion. Look for them to be conservative here. Terrence Flagler breaks into the open. Midfield. 40-yard line. Out of bounds at the 33. Reggie Rutland ran him out for Georgia Tech with a big gain for Clemson. They get 30 yards on the play.
Very simple play. Slant play off the right side. They just bring the ball back. Bring the ball back to the tailback. He does this all on his own. Watch this initial hit. Didn't wrap up. The linebacker didn't wrap up. He comes out left side. That was John Porter, the freshman. He'll be talked about later on this week. But a nice run as Reginald Rutland finally ran him out of bounds.
1st down and 10 at the 33-yard line of Georgia Tech. saw the numbers for Terrence Flagler, and he'll pick up some more right here. Cuts it back and gets to the 31 in the arms of Steve Mullen, a freshman out of Youngstown, Ohio. They play some tough football in that part of the Midwest.
So many people are always asking about why do you line up and play the I, because you limit yourself to somewhat when you're going to pass the football. But with the kind of running backs that Clemson has, it always allows them to square up, go left or right, and that's what kind of offense it is.
And gives them a good look at the defense also.
You see the whole field. Your vision's so good, that's what they can cut back and do the things that they are capable of doing with that great speed.
Second down, 7. 31-yard line of Georgia Tech. Rodney Williams has gone all the way at quarterback, and this time gives to Lancaster, and Lancaster loses the battle that time against Rod Stevens, the linebacker.
Number 40.
Gained about 2 or 3. Flagler in the game, excuse me, Roman. 14,
I'm sorry.
No, I was my fault. 14 carries, 76 yards, 5.4 in the game, and Clemson has rushed for 234 yards.
What I was going to mention, Gary, is at this time of the game, linebackers sometimes are trying to arm tackle like the freshman did a little while ago. But then here Rod Stevens gives you a picture-perfect tackle. They'll show that to the freshman Phillips probably this week. So here's the way it's supposed to be done.
Clemson 9 of 14 on third down conversions. At 3rd and 4 right here, and Rodney Williams going to use a timeout. Obviously, what he wanted to run, he didn't feel was apropos with the defense he was looking at.
That's right.
So 9:45 to go in the ball game. It is Clemson 20, Georgia Tech 3, and we'll be back with more ACC football after this. 9:45 to go. Clemson has controlled it literally right from the opening kickoff, which Terrence Rulack returned inside Georgia Tech's 20, and Tech's been trying to come back ever since. Mississippi running away from Tulane now in the 3rd quarter. Florida State and Michigan, what a head knocker that must be. 10-10. 3rd and 4. Rodney Williams still has it. A nice option play and a nice read by Rodney Williams. Reginald Rutland brought him down to 20, but he did it well.
Yeah, it was a fine play. We have strong side to the right side for Clemson, but now they work back to the weak side here. Rodney Williams puts it inside. If it wasn't for Rutland, he might get more yards. Reggie Rutland has played a pretty good ball game.
Clemson continues to move, continues to run the clock. We're down to 9:27 and counting down. The Tigers looking to win their 2nd game of the year and looking to sweep the state of Georgia after beating the Bulldogs last week and win their ACC opener, too. This is Lancaster, got about 2 yards to the 18, maybe the 17. Kyle Ambrose in on the stop for Georgia Tech, and I think the Georgia Tech defense, Roman, may be a bit demoralized. I think that's why you see missed tackles in this situation. It's just so hard to keep your emotions up when you're getting beat so badly.
Well, that plus the fact that there's so many young people on Georgia Tech's defense that still have to learn. You got to wrap up when you make a tackle, hold on. And Clemson's offensive line, they're young. 4 sophomores we mentioned, 1 junior, 1 freshman, a super job. Clemson now 55 plays rush, 15 by the pass.
2nd down, 7 for the Tigers. This is Steve Griffin, and he cuts inside the 15 to the 14-yard line before Travis Moody brought him down, or at least made the first hit.
John Phillips has had a fine day. This is just a come-around block here as he jumps on the linebacker. Oh, he jumps on him. He shoves him out of there another 4 or 5 yards. And that's, of course, Mark White, a sophomore linebacker for Tech that he's manhandling.
3rd down and 3. Rodney Williams trying to keep this drive moving for the Tigers. They can put the game away with a score if it's a 7. Williams keeps it, reads it, and gets to the 10 and got the first down. Rod Stevens on the tackle. He only had to get to the 10, and he got there. Should bring up a 1st and goal. They'll bring the chains in. Nope, they won't even do that. 1st down. Well, Danny Ford obviously doesn't like something, but it can't be the score, and it can't be the situation on the field. We just don't know what it is. Bill Curry might already be thinking about next Saturday. Although I doubt it. 1st down and goal, just inside the 10-yard line. Griffin had a little trouble with the pitch, and as a result gets no yardage. Rod Stevens on the stop. Rodney Williams that time threw the pitch a little bit behind Steve Griffin.
He did, and that's hard to get upfield when the ball is not where it should be. Lancaster came out, though, and laid a block on the corner. He had a nice play there.
second down and goal from right on the 10-yard line. This is really old-style football for Clemson. You don't see this that much anymore.
No, and they're doing it well, too.
They're doing it extremely well. Ball control. Second down, 10. This time they gave it to Lancaster, and he pulls his way into the end zone. Chris Lancaster putting an exclamation point on this great Clemson rushing game today. Makes it 26-3. Danny's a little happier.
Yeah, you can only be mad for a second or two, but when a guy goes in the end zone, you're real happy real quick.
There you see the guy who scored the touchdown, Chris Lancaster.
It was his time, wasn't it? Johnson has 2. Now Lancaster finally gets one.
You know, Roman, before the Virginia Tech game we did a few weeks ago, Lancaster had gone some long stretch of plays where he had never carried the football, but they have really integrated him into the offense this year. He always blocked well last year as Treadwell had the extra point, but now he's also carrying the football.
There it is. Rodney Williams just comes out, hands the ball, straight dive left side. Give the credit to Pat Williams and Ty Granger. Reginald Rutland, he has to make the tackle. When your corners are making so many tackles, that means somebody's getting blown out.
So the Tigers have all but put it on ice with 6:35 to go in the ball game. It is Clemson 27, Georgia Tech 3. We'll be back. It's all Clemson today here at Grant Field in Atlanta. 27-3. The Tigers on top of Georgia Tech as Danny Ford paces the sideline. 6:35 to play.
Danny Ford has got to be a little bit happy, don't you think, Gary?
Oh, I think he's more than a little bit happy. I hope too. You got to get something out of life when you're leading by this, right?
Yeah.
Rusty Sile boots it off. Here's Gary Lee at the 5. Gary Lee trying to turn the corner, but ran out of corner. Goes out of bounds to the 17 and somersaults over the fence. Let's hope Gary Lee is okay.
Once again, though, Clemson special teams make the tackle inside the 20. Perry Williams, he's the guy.
Only an 11-yard return for Gary Lee, and they're over there checking on him.
There he comes. He's an athlete. He bounces back off that track over the fence. 6'2", 200-pound receiver.
Well, you'll see that play on one of the, what, either the Letterman show or one of those football follies shows. 6:29 to go. 27-3 the score. Clemson on top of Georgia Tech. Rick Strom has gone all the way and gotten maybe a bit of an education today at quarterback. A little bit of a fake, in real trouble. Fires it out to Jerry Mays, and Mays stumbles his way across the 20 and gets up to the 23-24-yard line. And the tackle's made by Wayne Harps, the reserve bandit end out of Griffin, Georgia, a redshirt freshman.
Set the screen up to the left side to Jerry Mays. Michael Dean Perry really putting the pass rush on, and that's what you want. You want the lineman to come after you, and don't worry, Clemson's going to be after him.
Second down 5 as we go under 6 minutes to play in the game. Clemson 27, Georgia Tech 3. Strom fires a completion to Jerry Mays. No, Malcolm King at the 35, and King hit at the 40-yard line and really driven forward for a couple of extra yards by the linebacker Scott Enzor.
They come off from underneath the center. Strom does, makes the counter play. They ran this earlier. Here he comes across the middle. Malcolm King's the fullback, sneaks outside. Good gain, nice play. Of course, that was Scott Enzor downfield, the inside linebacker, to make the stop.
First down at the 43. They fumbled the snap, and I think Clemson has the football. That snap never got there. Might have been Otis Moore who recovered it. That's who it is. Otis Moore, redshirt freshman out of Augusta, Georgia.
Now, Bill Curry, what he's saying, did the center not snap the ball on the count, or did you move too quickly?
Well, it looked like the ball just bounced off the hands of the quarterback like he wasn't waiting for it.
Looks as though he's coming out. Oh, maybe the ball was snapped before
that's what it was supposed to.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say it was.
Or the quarterback had the wrong count. That can happen too.
Oh, yeah, it sure can.
First down and 10 from the 45. I can't believe you admitted that as a quarterback. On the option play, here's Griffin really hit from behind as the flag goes down out of the 42-yard line. He was stuck by number 97, George Malone, out of Triana, Alabama. Randy Anderson has come in the ball game now at quarterback for Clemson. Randy Anderson out of Cowpens, South Carolina, has a great arm, as you see the holding call there, but I doubt we'll get to see very much of it. Clemson on top of this lopsided score.
Randy Anderson's not a little guy. He's 6'5" and a junior.
5:25 to go as you look at Randy Anderson. (27-3) the score. The holding call puts Clemson back in their own territory at the 48, and we'll get the official version.
Holding. Offense, first down.
There's Rodney Williams. He's had a nice day. He's put some points on the board. Just a sophomore. Runs around a 4.6 40, taking a little time over there.
Clemson at its own 48 now with first and 17. Steve Griffin. Shane Curry missed the tackle. And then in the secondary, he's brought down by Don Wilson, a junior out of Russellville, Alabama.
Griffin was stopped by number 46, Don Wilson.
Might have been an indication right there of what we talked about earlier. 44, Shane Curry, they think is their next defensive superstar, but he may have over-pursued on that play and run right past the tackle. And a lot of mistakes being made by Georgia Tech on defense with a young defense. As you look at the numbers on Steve Griffin today. Second down, 6. Anderson has trouble with the pitch. Griffin can't handle it. And Georgia Tech may have recovered the fumble. Looked like George Malone was in on it. Wait till they unfile. Clemson will keep it. Stacy Long, offensive guard, made the recovery for Clemson.
Well, Frank DeUlius looks like he might have pulled a little muscle there. He looked as though he was limping. But that play was the responsibility of Randy Anderson, who came in off the bench a little cold, didn't quite get the pitch out, and as a result, there was a fumble. And that's going to happen in ball games when new quarterbacks come in. You got a whole bunch of new people playing this game now.
Third down and 8 for Clemson. Remember, they have the penalty on this drive. Griffin in motion. Anderson rolling to throw. He's got Griffin at the 40. Griffin running for the first down marker. I think he got it right. Mike Rosamelia made the tackle. A flag is down, but barring the penalty, I think he got the first down.
On the field.
Good effort by Griffin if he did. Personal foul. He'll get the first down now, one way or the other.
He gets it, that and more. But that's an example, though, on that one-on-one out in the field type of a running back that can still go upfield rather than getting pushed back, because Griffin made that first down on his own regardless of the penalty.
All the way to the 20-yard line.
Dead ball. Personal foul. Defense. First down.
Under 4 minutes to go in the game as you look at Georgia Tech head coach Bill Curry trying to clap up some enthusiasm, but that's tough to do right now when you're down 27-3 on your home field. First and 10. Randy Anderson at quarterback. Doesn't like what he sees. So a timeout called for by Clemson. And the Tigers, we've talked about it all day, but the story of the game, if you're just joining us, Clemson has simply controlled the offensive line of scrimmage. 3:53 to go in the game. It is 27-3 Clemson over Georgia Tech. We'll be back after this. 3:53 to play here at Grant Field. Clemson in its ACC opener leading Georgia Tech big 27-3. Tech will be 1-1 after this one, having beaten Virginia last week. Randy Anderson after the timeout, first down and 10. Fumbles the football. Georgia Tech will get it now, I think. Anderson may have gotten it back, and if he did, Georgia Tech really missed a big opportunity there to at least get possession of the football. Paul Jorgensen looked like he was going to get the handle on it, but Anderson apparently got it.
Well, that shows you what those big, strong quarterbacks can do. Whenever the ball's fumbled, you're going to jump on it.
And that coming from the guy who holds the National Football League record for fumbles.
It shows you, too, that Coach Ford's plan this weekend, or this week, of trying to get these guys to jump on that football, it worked, because Anderson showed you what practice means. It makes perfect.
Second down and 18. Anderson gives it to Griffin, and Griffin got about 5 or 6 yards of it back. I should also mention, you also hold the record, don't you, for fumbles recovered?
Fumbles recovered, least number of interceptions.
Oh, you're all right. You don't have to go.
Don't give me a good shot. I can take the pressure.
Everybody knows what you did well.
And I can stand the heat. I can stand the heat.
Well, there's been a lot of heat here this afternoon, no doubt about that. Temperature's been right up around 90 degrees. But it's a lot hotter right now on the Georgia Tech sideline than it is on the Clemson side. I don't think there's any question about that. With Clemson leading 27-3, or at least it seems that way. Anderson on third and very long. Needs 15 to get the first down. On the option, Anderson in trouble. It's about 3 yards.
With the ball, number 1.
Martin Jones out of Columbus, Georgia, senior, made the stop for Georgia Tech. It'll be fourth down, and I think we'll see David Treadwell. Well, maybe they'll feel they don't even need the field goal here. They may just run the clock. We'll see.
Yeah, they're not gonna put the ball down on the ground to kick field goal carry. They're gonna go ahead and try to do something with it, run it, just control it, run a little bit more time off the clock.
2:05, 2:04, and counting down. Fourth down play for Clemson. We'll see if they even try for the first down. They run the option, and Anderson with a nice read gets to the 10-yard line and may have the first down. John Wilson made the stop, but Randy Anderson may have the first down.
Young man has a fearless heart. He's not bad with that football. Option play coming out left side. Here it is on our replay camera. He bakes it in there to Johnson. He does get the first down, I believe. It's going to be close.
They're going to bring the chains across. Clemson Tigers got to have lost a little weight today. They do those push-ups on the road also, the Clemson Tiger? He does, huh? All right. They do push-ups whenever they score. The number of push-ups for the accumulated score for Clemson, the Tiger does. They got the first down.
I think they drug him out of here a little while ago. He's tired, that guy.
They may have had about 9 different guys in that Tiger suit today. I don't know.
Well, they got the first down, Gary. Nice play by Anderson.
Randy Anderson brings them up on first down inside the 10. The pitch to Griffin. Griffin changed his mind on the cut. Now we'll try to turn the corner and got to the 6-yard line. It'll be second down. Our pull-in player of the game from Clemson, there you see him, number 61, John Phillips. And he's as good a reason as any, Roman, I think, that they were able to control the ball as well as they did on the offense.
Well, every time that our camera zeroed in on him, he was knocking somebody back or he was out front leading a ball carrier. I think he did a super job.
John Phillips, who is the right guard out of Spruce Pine, North Carolina.
Just a junior. He's the captain of that offensive group.
Second down and 6. Anderson will just sit down with it. Clemson being very charitable here, feeling they've got the game won. I don't know what the booing is about. This is a very classy move on the Tigers' part.
I think so, too, because you're going to get more points put on the board if they do try to run the football the way they've handled them all day long.
So that is going to basically be your football game and an outstanding show for Clemson. Listen to this time of possession. 40 minutes and 56 seconds for Clemson, 19 minutes and 4 seconds for Georgia Tech. There's your polling player of the game on the Georgia Tech side, Rod Stevens, with 15 tackles and a sack in this game. So he did his best to keep his finger in the dike, but the water just kept pouring through.
That's so true.
As the Clemson offense just sits down with it for the final play of the game. 27-3, your final score. Rod Stevens, the polling player of the game for Georgia Tech, but not nearly enough for the Yellow Jackets here today. Danny Ford certainly very happy that his Clemson Tigers have picked up their first ACC win in their initial encounter in the league, and they are now 2-1, and they've swept the state of Georgia for the 3rd time in 18 tries. And Roman, very simple ball game when you analyze it, I think.
That's exactly what we expected. Clemson came out, did what they wanted to do, run the football. Georgia Tech would like to have been able to throw the ball, but they weren't able to.
So that is your game story right there. 27-3. Clemson wins it. Long way to go in this ACC season, but the Tigers have certainly established something with their wins over Georgia and Georgia Tech in the past 2 weeks. We'll come back and talk to some of the stars of the game, perhaps the coaches, when we come back after these words from your local ACC stations. There's your final score, 27-3. We want to tell you again about our Poland players of the game. John Phillips for Clemson, Rod Stevens for Georgia Tech. Poland will donate a $500 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of both Clemson and Georgia Tech as part of the Poland Most Valuable Player Award Scholarship Program. Poland, America's Chainsaw. And we'd also like to thank Clemson Sports Information Director Bob Bradley, his assistant, or associate, I should say, Tim Beret. They always do a great job, and the same is true of Georgia Tech SID, Mike Finn, and his staff of Mike Stamus and Frank Zhang. Great job by Clemson here this afternoon. They came down on the road. Rulak runs back the opening kickoff for 80-some yards, and they were on their way.
They came to do a job, and they go home with the job well done.
For Georgia Tech, it's just simply regroup. They know they've got a lot of young, talented players, but sometimes it takes a while for that talent to develop.
They have a lot of freshmen on that defensive unit, and Bill Curry will not let this group get down. They'll win their share of games because they have character, and they know what it's like to come back when you've lost a football game.
I guess that it'll be a real challenge for them in practice this week, talking about Georgia Tech.
One thing that they accomplished, they did not have too many penalties. Remember, they had 10 last week, but now Bill's going to have to say, look, guys, we know how to not make penalties. Let's find out how to put points on the board and stop people.
Clemson, on the other hand, did not want to commit turnovers today. They had one very late in the game, but for the most part, an excellent job by them of hanging on to the football and just executing the run offense to near perfection as we look at the final game statistics.
Well, in first downs in the final stat sheet, Clemson had 25, Tech had 14. Rushing yards, Tech only 83 yards. Clemson had 280, and remember, they were averaging well over or close to that coming into this game. Passing 10 out of 24 for Tech, 1 interception, 10 for 16. Rodney Williams, Clemson. Yards passing 139 for Tech, Clemson 103. Total offense 222 yards for Tech, 383 for the Tigers. Here's the big statistic, time of possession. 1904, Clemson, though, was at 40.56. They had the ball almost a complete ball game, Gary.
Can do a lot of damage in 41 minutes of possession.
And then they had long drives, too, up and down the field. It wasn't like they were scoring all the time from the 20-yard line or the 10. They moved the ball up and down the field, and it shows as we look at those final stats.
We are in the process of getting some folks hooked up down on the field so we can find out a little bit of insight into just how things took place down there, but we certainly know what took place. Clemson with a very convincing victory, 27-3, and you look ahead in this ACC, Clemson now certainly has established itself as a serious contender. Maryland, North Carolina's been strong. There are some good clubs this year, and the ACC has been knocking off some people. The league looking a little better in 1986.
I agree, and only one team at this point is ranked in the AP Associated Press's top 20, Maryland.
This will raise some eyebrows, though, this score.
Oh, yeah, and it depends on what Maryland, because Maryland's going up against State. State's 2-0-1, so we'll find out how good they really are. We know Maryland's good, and as you mentioned, maybe there's going to be another team or two out of the ACC that jumps into the Associated Press's top 20 poll.
And certainly North Carolina with a tough schedule this year outside the ACC. They've already got the tie against Florida State. LSU still to come. They beat Kansas on the road. They are a team that very much could be reckoned with. Georgia Tech, a club that some wondered, would they be a contender? Would they not be? All a question of how quickly their young players would come along. Off today's performance, obviously not that great, but then again, they were in Virginia last week and won by 14 points. And a young team, that's what's going to happen, up and down.
That's so true, because on that defensive side of the football, you got people in key positions, and when you have freshmen learning this game, it takes a little bit of a time.
All right, I'm told we have John Phillips, the outstanding offensive guard of the Clemson Tigers, down on the field. John, Gary Sparber, and Roman Gabriel, we chose you as our Poland player of the game today because it seemed like you ran the football at will, and I know that a lot of that running was going on behind you. Tell us what it was like down there in the trenches today.
First off, thank y'all very much. Well, it was hot, no doubt about that. Of course, that's obvious. And it was tough. Georgia Tech's a tough team. I mean, it might have looked easy, but it wasn't easy as it looked.
John, you had a fantastic game because I don't think you really left your feet too often. You were always inside, coming upfield on the linebackers, cutting them down or bowling them over. Let me ask you one thing. Did you guys come into this game to run to your side and to run the fullbacks, Lancaster and Johnson?
Well, that's a two-part question. Not run to my side. You know, it wasn't predetermined to run to my side, but it was predetermined to run Lancaster and Johnson and make Georgia Tech respect our fullback.
John, you look at your offensive line, and outside of you, you see sophomore, 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 sophomore. What has that been like for you as this line has tried to gel together?
Well, at first they started looking up to me during pre-fall, but with the win last week at Georgia and this win right here, I mean, that's all it takes. We're an experienced group now. We're one.
As you begin to get more and more publicity and attention, there are things out there like the Outland Trophy, the Lombardi Trophy, the Jacobs Blocking Award. How much of that has begun to enter John Phillips' mind?
Nothing until right now.
How about this Clemson team? You've got to feel pretty good about things. You came in and swept the state of Georgia.
Since when? 77? Way back,
well,
whenever.
77 and 83, I think, are the two times in history that Clemson's been able to do it.
Well, it's great. I'm glad we had the opportunity to do it. We just took advantage of our opportunity.
John, what did you guys do this week to try to work on not turning the ball over? Because I know Coach Ford made some comments about we're not able to win in Georgia Tech unless we can stop turning the ball over. Did you do anything special this past week?
No, nothing different. I think Coach Ford just emphasized the point that we don't need to turn the ball over no more than we did in the Georgia game the previous week.
John, you may have to make your fullbacks, Tracy Johnson and Chris Lancaster, honorary members of the offensive line because they block about as well as anybody.
Oh, yeah, they're part of the OL. They come to our meetings, they eat with us, you know, they're part of us.
What size neck does Chris Lancaster have?
I don't know. We're looking at about a 22-inch neck there.
That's what his neck's bigger than my waist.
John, congratulations on a super ball again.
Thank you very much.
John Phillips, our Poland player of the game on offense. The final score today, Clemson 27, Georgia Tech 3. We'll come back to Grant Field after these words. Back here at Grant Field in Atlanta, Gary Sparber along with Roman Gabriel. We're going to talk to Rodney Williams, the victorious Clemson quarterback, in just a few moments. Clemson won, as you see, 27-3 here today. Rodney, tell us about your development as a quarterback with this Clemson program as the season's gone along. What are the things that you're working on?
We just, the main goal coming into the 1985-86 season was turnovers. And first game we had 4 turnovers. Last week we had 5. Last week we came out on ahead of Georgia, but we knew we had to quit turning the ball over because when we get into the caliber of the teams in the ACC, you can't turn the ball over that many times and expect to win. So that was the main concern, especially coming out last week. Georgia Tech runs a similar defensive scheme to Georgia, so our main concern was turning the ball over. We knew if we didn't turn the ball over, because our offense moved the ball pretty well against Georgia, and if we just kept up the enthusiasm and just played as a unit, then we'd have a good job today.
Rodney, you had a super ball game. I think you threw the ball 15 times, completed 9 for about 95 yards. No touchdowns and no interceptions, but you didn't have to have that. You did what you were supposed to do within your offense. Did coming out and Terrence Rulak taking that ball and going 80 yards with it and put you in good field position, did that have anything to do with the changement maybe of your attitude that, hey, we can blow these guys out?
Oh, yeah, you know, we didn't really think much about a blowout, but we knew when Terrence made that excellent run on the kickoff, got the momentum on our side and got us kind of fired up. Where it looked like when we were warming up out there, we were a little down, so they got the team back up the way we played last week. The offense just went in there and we took our time, didn't panic, didn't try to do anything, get anything quick, and just consistently moved the ball down the field. And when you get a runner like Terrence, like a run back like Terrence, you ain't got far to go, and it doesn't take long.
Rodney, you're the first, or you were last year, the first freshman to start at quarterback at Clemson since 1942, and that goes back a ways. What has it been like for you to try to take one of the ACC perennial contenders and lead them as a young player?
It was a little tough last year. I was away from the game a year and a half in really competition, so I made a lot of mistakes last year, and that was my throwing game wasn't really on because I wasn't sure about where everybody was at in my reads. That was one of the main concerns going into this year for myself, is to work on my passing game and work on my reads, and I did. I worked real hard this summer, and I think the coaches have pretty much confidence in me. We've been running the option, making a lot of reads. They're giving me a lot of opportunity to do either I do it right or wrong, whether the play is good or bad. So I think that gives me a vote of confidence, knowing that the coaches have that much confidence in me to put so much of the offense on my shoulders.
Rodney, what do you see now for your young Clemson offensive team? Because you guys look like you put it together. You got 4 sophomores on that line, and from here on in, we sort of made a comment. If you got by the day's game, no telling how good you guys are going to be.
Yeah, that's true. We came into the season with a young offensive line, but real talented, and they've shown that. you can't say enough about the offensive line. I've had plenty of time to throw the ball every time I drop back, and they're just opening large holes for our running backs. And we got such fine running backs. They're making the defense threaten the outside and the inside. Our fullbacks ran good today. I think the offensive line deserves all the credit though, because the way they were getting Georgia Tech off the ball, and by the time Georgia Tech was making contact, most of the time it was a couple yards downfield. So the offensive line has just been playing well, real well.
Rodney, congratulations on a great effort today. Best of luck to you as the season goes along.
Thank you very much.
Rodney Williams, the sophomore quarterback of the Clemson Tigers, and let's look ahead to next week. Virginia and Wake Forest. That one will be in Winston-Salem, and the Wahoos certainly with something to show after last week's loss to Georgia Tech, and Wake Forest will be looking for its first ACC win. There you see the Deacons 7-7 with Army. And we've got a few scores to send your way here.
East Carolina scores 3 points. But look what happens here. Penn State got 31. That's in the third quarter. Penn State's an awful good football team.
East Carolina is like the little guy in the playground who picks on all the big bullies and never learns its lesson, just one after another. Pittsburgh 48, West Virginia 10. Talking about their real tough schedule, East Carolina. Pittsburgh rolling.
Florida State scores 10, but Michigan has 13. This one's in the fourth quarter. This is really a humdinger here.
It's one of the better games in the country today. Of course, there's another pretty decent one between number 1 and number 2. Baylor 25. Texas Tech nothing in that Southwest Conference where they take things rather seriously. Third quarter score.
A lot of time in this ball game. Of course, Utah probably wishes there weren't. Ohio State 31, Utah 3.
That's got to make things just a trifle easier for Ohio State's Earl Bruce. They have really gotten off to what for them is a very rocky start, 0-2, and then they barely got by Colorado in their third game. Now they start to roll 31-3. They are over Utah, and those are our scores from elsewhere as you look at Bill Curry, and we look at some of the people who made this production work. Quay Sistar, Jim Duzel, super job back in the truck, Jimmy Rayburn and Ed Wade. And as you look at the names roll, I also want to tell you about the great job done up here by Ginger Littlejohn and Al Littlejohn, and yes, they are wife and husband, since I said them in that order. Rich Sheff and Mark Fredrickson are stats people. Just a great job up here in the booth, and you see the people who did it all around the place. Roman and I get all the credit, or a lot of it anyway, since we're the voices you hear. And there's our final score. Clemson 27, Georgia Tech 3. Next week in Winston-Salem, Virginia and Wake Forest. And until then, we wish you a good day. The final score here, once again, the Clemson Tigers 27 and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 3. Gary Sparber for Roman Gabriel. So long.